Namaste, Swagatam. The United States of America is all set to vote this year for its next president with elections in November. How are the Hindus voting in the US? Where does their loyalty lie and where should their loyalty lie and why? What are the issues that Hindus face today in the US? Let us learn about this from our guest today from HinduPact, Srimati Deepa Karthik, the Executive Director of the Hindu Vote Project. She and her team have prepared a 24-page guide for Hindu voters. Namaste, Deepa ji. A very belated Happy Dashara to you. And some questions from our end. How are you today?
Namaste, Kavita ji. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you
Shri
so much for inviting me to speak about this wonderful initiative that a lot of volunteers from HinduPact have put together. So I'm very grateful to the Brihat team for inviting me here.
Thank you so much for being here. And how did the Hindu Pact and Hindu Vote come into being? Could you please speak a little bit about its history?
Sure. So HinduPact is an initiative of Vishwa Hindu Parishad USA. And I'm a volunteer with Vishwa Hindu Parishad USA, the HinduPact initiative. And Hindu Vote is a project of HinduPact. Okay, so it's a project within HinduPact. This is a very unique initiative that we have come up with. We wanted to basically have an enlightened democracy, and that is really our sort of punchline for this initiative. It's our goal. We wanted to bring information, awareness to our voters, to our Sanatani community, so that they can vote with a dharmic lens. You often see that our Sanatani brothers and sisters are not very well aware of the issues that are afflicting our community. How should they vote? So to bring a clearer perspective and to sort of bring information and facts to the forefront that will enable them to vote with a dharmic lens is really the goal and the sole purpose of Hindu Vote.
So you would be saying that I would not be wrong in saying that the agenda that you've based Hindu Vote on is a dharmic lens. It is dharmic lens. And so under that is combating Hindu phobia, a major point of discussion for you, as it should be.
Yes, absolutely. So, Kavita ji, I wanted to also, describe the Hindu vote agenda, the American Hindu voting agenda for 2024 as really a sort of a, it's a discussion point that came through after speaking to various advocacy Hindu groups. So it's not like Hindu Pact in its own silo has come up with this. We partnered with various Hindu advocacy groups within United States and have come up with an 8-point agenda, which really reflects the concerns of the community, the issues that they are worried about, that they want resolution on. They want our elected officials within United States to sort of take this further, and that is the reason we've come up with this 8-point agenda. One of which being Hinduphobia, which is really in the recent past, you've seen
Yes.
a lot of incidents that have affected Hindus all over the world, and particularly Hindus within United States as well. Yes. So therefore, we have come up with this 8-point agenda, which I would really love for your viewers to see as well. In a
Yes.
minute, I'll just bring it up on my screen so that we can talk through it, and
Yes.
also that they would be able to sort of get a visual of what is it that I am talking about. Okay, so please let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet. Yes, now I can.
Okay, all right. Very quickly, I'll just take a minute, Kavita ji, just to go through all of these points. So the first one on this, on this, and not in any order of importance. I want to emphasize that. Hinduphobia is one of the most, as you've seen in the recent past, there have been various attacks on Hindus, unprovoked attacks, slurs, etc., that our Sanatani brothers and sisters have been subjected to. So we want our legislators to take a very strong and a firm stand on Hinduphobia and put legislation forward that will protect our community from such attacks. That is, that's one of our main points. The second one is, and as I said, in no order of importance, but one of the things that you've seen as recently as a couple of weeks ago, a temple in Sacramento was vandalized. Bap's Mandir was vandalized, and what has happened here is, we've not had enough action from our legislators and they're not coming out strongly to oppose this kind of vandalism. So we are requesting our legislators to speak against the vandalism of temples. We also want to make sure that our legislators understand that these religious theocracies are persecuting Hindu minorities in their countries, especially Pakistan, Afghanistan. So we've put forth that in our Hindu agenda as well. The other thing is that we all know that for our dharma, Bharat is our matrabhumi, right? So we would like cordial and friendly relationships between Bharat and between America, and we are striving towards that. So we want representatives in Congress, in our Senate, who kind of look forward to positive relations with India. We're also looking for a fair representation of Hindus in the USCIRF the organization, or the because they always put forth reports that are slightly biased and are not they're not helping put forth the facts about what's happening. So that's one more point. The other 3 points that we have is sustainability and environmental issues, which we know are our Sanatani communities has always been a very sustainable society, and we want to make sure that we continue with this particular thought in mind going forward. We are also looking for ensuring that many of our Sanatani brothers and sisters in United States are literally languishing for years and years to get naturalized, to become citizens of this country, lawful citizens of this country. Their work visas are getting stuck. So we want to make sure that we support our representatives who are going to ensure that such legislation is streamlined. Okay. And lastly, we also want to make sure that we have legislators who endorse sort of the free and just employment practices in terms of the affirmative action. We want to make sure that they are promoting merit based admissions in institutions and employment opportunities as well. So that's really the 8 point agenda. It's available on our website www.hinduvote.org. I request all your viewers to go there, have a look at it, and we welcome all suggestions, feedback from our Sanatani community on this particular agenda.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate what you're doing there, and very important points to ponder. And I hope something gets done about these, especially the fair immigration policies, or fairness in education and employment, human rights, of course, the advocacy in Afghanistan, Pakistan. Nowadays in Bangladesh, we see what's happening. Very, very terrible, situation right over there. But how are you doing the outreach towards Hindu voters? What are the challenges you're facing while doing so? Because it's not very easy to bring up these topics in a community which is called the model community and is very affluent and doing very well. So there's a sense of complacency.
That's a very important question that you've asked me, Kavita ji. So we are trying to do outreach at two levels. One is, outreach to our institutions, which is our 501c3 organizations in United States, which are geared towards mandirs, and also our advocacy groups. There are many groups, like you have various, you may have heard of various organizations that are sort of helping further the Hindu causes here in United States. So we are reaching out to them, requesting them to sort of send this message out of Hindu vote. The prime our prime sort of how do I, we are trying to not promote, but basically spread the word through our mandirs. We want our mandirs to be more involved in this movement. We want our mandirs to understand that getting involved in civic engagement and activities that help get the vote out, make our viewers more aware through their communities, is an absolutely acceptable method to engage with our communities. So far, our mandirs have stayed away from this.
But so you're saying all the mandirs, there's so many mandirs in the US, you're saying none of them have been involved so far, you're saying?
So some of the mandirs are actually doing what we call voter registration here. So they do help in voter registration, but we want them to now step out of that sort of zone and do more. See, what happens?
Do more would be what? What would you want them to do? What could they
Right.
do?
So, basically, what happens is we have put out a guide called the Guide for Temples and Non-Profits. Okay, it's
Hmm.
available on our website, which your viewers can see.
Hmm.
This guide basically explains two aspects.
Hmm.
One are the activities that are permissible that non-profits can get involved in
Hmm.
to enable civic engagement, voter engagement without taking a partisan view. The entire idea is that if you're a not-for-profit or you're not a political action committee or a group, you
Hmm.
cannot take partisan views. Which means that if you are inviting, for this example, I'll explain. If you're inviting a Democratic candidate to your temple to speak, you must
Hmm.
also invite a Republican candidate. So
Yes.
you have to invite both opposing
Both.
parties to show
Yes.
that you are giving everybody a platform and to basically to have a fair platform for both candidates.
Yes.
So that
Space
is,
for both.
yes,
Yes. Hmm.
so they can get involved in getting the vote out, in terms of making calls to their mailing lists, whoever are their devotees who come to the mandirs, etc. They can get and say go and vote. That's all the messages. The messages: go out and vote. The
Hmm.
other message is, please come to the mandir. We are going to organize a candidate debate.
Hmm.
We have provided guidelines on how to organize a candidate night. Okay.
Wonderful.
We've also provided Sorry, you had a question.
Yes. So my question was a little more, let's say, philosophical or coming from a Hindu space. I understand where you're coming from, and I think, having been in the US, I understand that the temples are also places where you have these auditoriums and you have where people gather, and both for cultural and social purposes, much more than in India. What happens here? Uh, but do you think it's right for a religious, not in terms of secular and religious, but in terms of the people who are praying or going there for religious and spiritual solace, would they want to be involved in something political? Is that something that, the reason why the mandirs are shying away from it? What would you think? Because that would give the answer of why maybe the mandirs are not involving themselves, unlike other religious spaces, other Abrahamic religious spaces, because a lot of it is also political for them. For us, maybe there's more adhyatma, and that is why they're not. I'm not saying good or bad. Is that one of the reasons, and is that what you're encountering?
No, you have asked a very important question, and I want to spend a little time talking about this.
Yes,
So
please.
traditionally, if you see, after coming out of a colonized sort of mindset, or we are still coming out of one, we have for the longest time our mandirs, etc., have shied away, for good and bad reasons, have shied away from political engagement. If you see the history of Bharat, we if you see the history of Bharat and even of our communities, you will notice that we have actually we there was no this concept of church separation of church and state was never a dharmic concept.
Hmm.
We always had rishis in the kingdoms of our rajas, maharajas, guiding them, right? So
Raja Rishis. Yeah.
yes, Raja Rishi. So Adhyatma
Hmm.
and Raja Dharma was never a
Separate.
separate concept, right? So we somewhere along the way, and along the hundreds of years of colonization, etc., we have forgotten that past. We've forgotten that history. It's time to revive it and to
Okay.
understand that when we want a dharmic community, we
Hmm.
want dharmic governance, right? A
Hmm.
sustainable governance.
Hmm.
So we have to get our mandirs have to get involved, not
Yes.
in a partisan way, not in a way that's favoring one over the other, but favoring what is the dharmic concept? What does our dharma need?
Yes.
What does our dharma need from our leaders?
Favoring a political engagement, active political engagement of a community which has so far not done that, despite being there, and you feel that they should, and they should. And we have historical proof for it. So thank you for that. That was a excellent answer. And that could be where you can go with, when you're meeting people at the temple, the management. I'm sure you've tried this. You should definitely talk about all this. And Vidyaranya ji, being instrumental in the Vijayanagara Empire and all that. So Swami Vidyaranya. So there are a lot of examples, like you rightly said. Is protection of the temples in one of the agendas? I'm sorry, you were giving me the 8-point agenda, but repatriation of our stolen artifacts, protection of Hindu temples, is that as important right now, or you want to take it up later in your agenda?
No, definitely. See, protecting religious spaces
Hmm.
is really top of our agenda. We are lobbying our legislators to make sure that they bring in strong protection laws for our religious spaces. Surprisingly, I will say this, to your viewers and also to you, Kavita ji. I had a surprising question from somebody in the mandir who asked
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
if I put out as a mandir, if I put out a statement saying that a particular politician has made a Hindu phobic statement,
Hmm.
is it taking a political stand, and will it affect the registration or the sanctity of my organization? See,
Hmm.
it's a travesty that we are thinking on these terms.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
not a question of taking a political stand. It's a
Hmm.
question of an existential stand, right?
Yes.
if uh,
Yes.
if uh, if people in power are threatening your existence, you're absolutely allowed to speak against it. You're
We
allowed
should.
to make a statement against, and you should. And you
Yes.
should. Mandirs
And we
should.
see what's happening in Canada, the temples, the graffiti, and also in the US, and it's really very scary, in fact, intimidating and scary. And you have youngsters growing up, the third, fourth generation of youngsters, Indian Americans, so they should not be growing up in a atmosphere of fear, and we should speak up. So thank you for saying that. But how do we help the strengthening of US India ties with whatever you're doing, given that we have bodies like the USCIRF? For people who don't know, it's the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, which has no Hindu representation. So how can we overcome such hurdles? In your point of view, from Hindu Pact, what is your thought?
Right. So, my view is that we have to lobby really hard as a community. We are not doing that enough.
Yeah.
We have to come together and we have to say in one voice that we need fair representation
Hmm.
in such committees. As you see, there's constant. If you read their reports,
Hmm.
there is, I don't have to say it. I think everybody can make their own conclusions. But you see the material that has been has been presented time and again
Hmm.
from these institutions without adequate and sometimes no Hindu representation whatsoever. So
Yes.
this does not serve our community in a fair manner anyway, and we
Hmm.
should all be concerned about it.
Yes.
We should all, because these kind of reports are not only influencing a generation like you and me, but more importantly it is influencing the next generation.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
it's
And they have to face it in schools and colleges, in the community. They go out, meet their friends. And I myself, when I was in school in the US and GW, I had to face, especially the humanities section has to face a lot. So, we have to deal with all this, and we must come together, like you're saying. And I'm very grateful to the work that Hindu Pact and Hindu Vote is doing. But what is your call to action specifically?
Yes, so my call to action here, and I speak for Hindu Vote. My Our call to action here is, please be involved.
Hmm.
So the thing is that democracy serves those who are involved. If you stay away, it doesn't serve us. And how can you be involved, right? So the most important thing is, firstly, if you're an individual watching this, please go out and vote. Go to hinduvote.org and see what we have done is on the website. Kavita ji, something very important that I want to highlight is,
Yes, please.
we have built a website where Hindu voters can go and put in their zip code. For
Hmm.
example, let's assume I'm a busy mother. I have two kids. I have a job. I don't have time to even worry about who has done what, which politician, none of that, right? I have to just go on hinduvote.org. I have to put in my zip code. The moment I put my zip code, I
Hmm.
am going to get who are the congressmen who are representing my district,
Hmm.
who are the senators who are representing my district. Okay. If once
Wonderful.
I, yes, once I go to that, if I select a particular man or woman, I wish I can show that to you or to your viewers on the screen.
Please
Uh,
do.
it's going to take me a minute to bring it up if that's okay with you.
That's
Um,
okay.
so let me give me 1 second. I'll do a
Because
try.
that will help people understand, how you've
Yes,
designed it. And
absolutely. Yeah. This is such an important sort of uh, you know tool I can't speak enough about it, not because, I'm involved in it, Kavita ji, but because it truly is, it's so helpful.
We make
And
technology work for us, work for us and democracy. And yeah, because like you mentioned, many people are very busy. They might have the intention to vote, but then they're worried. They're running, behind their children for jobs, and I know how the commute is, and it's not easy to get that little time to register.
yeah,
Um, Although there's no excuse,
absolutely.
but it happens. It's natural. But if
Yes.
you've made it easy for people, then nothing like it. And is that easy to bring it up, or we can just talk
Yeah,
about
I'm
the
sharing my screen right now.
sure,
If you can
sure.
see, can you
Not
see my
yet.
screen?
Now, yes.
Can you see this Hindu vote?
Yes.
So you see here, there's an election 2024. This is the American Hindu agenda I spoke for, the guide for temples that we touched upon. We've also
Hmm.
built a guide for Hindu voters,
Hmm.
individual voters. They can understand how to register to vote, what should we do, so on and so forth. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. So all the material, relevant material
It's
about
here.
voting and who not to vote for, and what is the lens one should have, has been clearly mentioned, like you're saying. And I would urge everybody to please have a look, even people who are not voting in the US, because you'll understand. And this is global. This is how global politics is actually like interconnected. So it is something that everybody who's interested in our Sanatana Dharma, in our civilizational way of looking at things, to actually have a look. It doesn't matter if one is voting in the US or not, because this is wonderful work that you're doing. And we should know why you have certain images. We should know why you have certain categories. We have to understand what's happening, the great game, I suppose.
Yes.
So thank you for this work. And I'm just curious about how you're involving the youth in the second generation, Deepaji, of Indians in the US, because at university and school level, they're all very busy, and it's very hard, academic work. And would they have time for all this? Would they have time to listen to the parents? And usually kids don't. So how are you involving them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll come to that in a minute, Kavita ji. I just wanted to show your viewers for just one quick minute
Yes.
how this
Yes.
website works. If you can see on
Yeah.
my screen, so these are my congressmen. This is my congresswoman here, Bonnie Watson
Huh.
Coleman. If I click on her name, right,
Huh.
it gives me a full detail. First, it's going to give me a little detail of her bio. It's coming up, okay.
Hmm.
Then it's going to give me details of her funding. How much money has she raised in this election?
Hmm.
Okay. It also, we have gleaned 4 or 5 important PACs. PACs are political action committees here in the United States. They
Hmm.
are legal committees that can, sort of put money as an individual. I can fund these PACs, and
Hmm.
these PACs will in turn fund the election campaign of my congresswoman. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, as you can see that this particular, candidate, she has not been funded by any Hindu PAC, which
Hmm.
sort of tells you a story that perhaps she is not very favorable to Hindu causes. It could
Hmm.
be, there's a possibility. So
Yes.
therefore, no Hindu PACs have supported her. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
This particular pack, Engage, is another pack, and as you can see, we have put the Muslim pack here also. So these are some important packs that we have gleaned, which
Hmm.
tells you a story from both sides, which are the
Hmm.
Hindu packs that are supporting and which are the non-Hindu packs that are supporting.
Hmm.
So you can then draw your own conclusions.
And make an informed decision from that, and maybe nobody approached her, none of the Hindu packs. So it's time to approach and maybe, put forth, like you said, we don't lobby enough. So it is a sign to maybe do that at some point. Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
thank
So,
you for that. Hmm.
yeah, and this is a relationship sort of diagrammatic representation of how she's connected to various
Okay,
sort of,
you also have that.
yeah.
Wow.
So we have sort of an affiliate. What is a second degree of affiliation? What's the third
Yes.
degree of affiliation? So on and so forth. Okay, I won't dwell too much into it. But one more thing that I wanted to speak about is we have enabled a 360-degree engagement with our candidates. And
Hmm.
let me explain to you how we have done that.
Hmm.
We have automated this website to send 435 congressmen
Hmm.
a questionnaire which goes automated to their email address,
Hmm.
and then they get an opportunity to respond to us.
Hmm.
And when they get an opportunity to respond to when they respond to us, their responses are populated here. So you see the topics that are Hindu aid, how will you help combat it? Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
What are your views on affirmative action? What are
Did you
the
get any responses?
we've got some responses.
Some.
We've got some responses from congressmen. For ease of reference, I just brought up my own congressman because I remember my zip code. But there are Congress people who have responded, and you can see their responses. International human rights, foreign policy. So you can read their responses here. Okay. The next thing that I want to bring up is key votes. This is very important. And I'll tell you why. Because, see, as a voter, I don't remember which resolution came to the floor for voting when, which are which have come up, which are important to the Hindu community. For example, this one is Hinduphobia. Okay, this
Yes.
is, this is the religious theocracies one, the resolution 616. Okay, so basically, what is happening is we want to make sure that now when I click on this particular legislation, it takes me to what action happened here. So I know who was the sponsor, which people voted on this. So right now this has just been introduced, nobody has voted on this, but I'm just speaking down the road and speaking from a future lens perspective. Imagine how powerful this information can be to us. Right now we know who supported this, who voted yes for this, and who voted no for it. That should
So
clearly
in Hindi, you'd say, "पोल खोल दिया आपने, सबका पोल खोल दिया." So literally, you've given the story of each, So you've made it very simple. So this is amazing work.
we have basically poll khol diya in a way that we have basically made it transparent. We've made it
Yes.
transparent in such a way that, hey, now you don't have to struggle. If you are a voter and you're a Hindu and you
Just go
want to
here.
know who supports your community and who doesn't, come here and see the information, right? So imagine how easy it is now. I don't have to struggle through going through Congress websites, looking at legislations, trying to filter them, going through WhatsApp, nothing. Just come here. That's it.
Great work. Great
Okay.
work. I do
Yeah.
have one more suggestion, though. Whoever's doing all this wonderful work, your tech team, the responses that you got, you said some of them responded to the questionnaire that you sent. Maybe that can be collated because you'll know who were eager to respond, who responded in what manner, in a separate page or something. Because then people don't have to go through each and every person to look कि किसने reply किया, किसने नहीं किया.
No, that's a
So that
wonderful
might
suggestion.
help.
Yeah, certainly. That's wonderful, Kavita ji. I really appreciate you giving me that feedback. And, we can certainly look into that. The last thing I want to
Yes.
build is a voter survey. Now, what happens is we have put our legislators, our elected officials, back on a sort of a radar, right? Where, hey, you get an opportunity to respond to our questions, and now we get an opportunity to engage with you through our survey. Now, every individual voter gets to come here and express their thoughts on the candidate. It's all fair, it's all available. You submit it, and now the next time, the next release of our website will have sort of a response meter. What do our voters think of this candidate, right? So
Wonderful.
yeah, so I'll stop
It's
sharing.
all comprehensive, all in all. The website is amazing. What you've done. Please congratulate the team because this is great work. I'm sure it would have taken probably months of work, if not years, of background work, and then months of work to actually bring it to the audience. This is amazing, and I hope the viewers will actually go and give some footfalls, and I will definitely make sure that I do that right after this. This is so wonderful. What other work does HinduPact do apart from the Hindu vote work that you're doing? What are the other projects?
Right. So we have a lot of projects that HinduPact is doing, mainly so HinduPact stands for Hindu Advocacy Political Action Collective. So what we are doing is we are basically bringing all of those issues that are affecting Hindus, not just in the United States, but across the world, that are important. One of the most important projects that we are working on is called Chingari, which speaks about the unspeakable crimes that are being that are happening to minority communities in Pakistan, especially our Hindu girls. Young girls are being kidnapped every single day, raped, forced
Yes,
into
I've heard
sex
it.
slavery, and married off to for religious conversions. So when that is a very important project
It
for
happens. You're saying minorities, but it happens unfortunately and that's why I'm smiling. But it happens in India also. I mean,
yes,
I
yes.
can't do anything but the smile is of sadness. We can fight and say that it's minority because people will listen maybe a little bit, that Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Hindus are minority and this is happening. But it happens very regularly in India also, so it's a very unfortunate situation.
Yes,
But
yes. And
Chingari is your project. I've seen Chingari, so I didn't realize it's your project.
yes, yes, Hindu. It's a Hindu Pact project. Also, we have, we have multiple projects, and I can, quickly sort of let you know what those are, so that your viewers get a quick insight into all of the work that's happening. What happens is, mainly, I want to thank you, Kavita ji, for giving us a platform for speaking about these things, because we really are not, we are a very small group of volunteers, right, who are doing this work. And it's very, and I have a day job, I have, I'm a mother, a working mom. It's just difficult for sometimes for us to get our message out to the wider group. So I'm so grateful to the Bruhat team for helping us sort of mobilize this message and get it across. So some of the important work that Hindu Pact is doing is, displayed on the screen. I'll give you a quick review of this. That's Chingari I just spoke of. Okay, this is Hari. We are basically speaking of all of the, the atrocities. It's basically an initiative to bring about information on, on all of the atrocities that are being committed. We are building a knowledge bank, if you will, of all the hate crimes that are happening on Hindus, because one of the most important things is that we want to build statistics, right? And to build statistics, we need a knowledge base. We need a database of all these atrocities. So that's happening. Hindu Vote I already spoke of. Hindu Lounge is basically a weekly show that happens on, on YouTube, that is conducted by our, by the president of VHPA USA, Ajay Shah, along with other, lots of guests who come on the show. They talk about all issues that are happening on a day-to-day basis, or otherwise that are affecting Hindu communities that are important. And this is Hindu Ahad, which we speak of. Ahad is basically one of the oldest Hindu hate crime, sort of initiative that's highlighting all of this work, and it's one of the oldest projects of VHPA.
Because now there is Hindu Misia. I don't know if you've heard of it, by Sri Ram Lakshminarayanji. So he also tracks the in the media, the Hindu phobic and Hindu
Yes,
Misic,
yes,
Misic
yeah,
articles.
yeah.
Yes.
I think it's wonderful that so many of us are working on these issues, because for the longest time we have been a silent community, and I think
Yes.
it's time to sort of get more mobilized, get more organized, and sort of bring about what's happening to us. Many of
Yes.
our children don't even know about the genocides in our community has faced. There is
And sometimes I think that it is, a false report, because I know of families whose children were brought up very dharmically, and they go to all these very woke universities and college campuses, and they learn the very like agenda-driven history or colonized history of what has happened to, of what has not happened to Hindus. They just assume that it's just some story that the parents have made up, because you don't see it out there. So we are not as vocal as the Jewish community, or we don't make a hue and cry about what we've undergone. And we are, like you said, very quiet about it, whether in India or abroad. So the children who are students at these universities, and I know of my friends children who've turned anti overnight, because they think that the parents are just making up stories. So it's actually very unfortunate. And it, like you said, it is about time that we are vocal and we put it out there, without, like you said, like the person from the mandir asked you, is it okay to do that? We should not have that kind of a hesitation. So this is wonderful work, and all the work of Hindu Pact, and may it grow, and may it have more sponsors and participants and volunteers. Like you said, you're a very small team, and thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing. Before I forget, how are you involving the youth and the second generation Indian kids, because we're talking about children right now,
Yes.
or Hindu vote? Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is a very important question, Kavita ji, and I'm so glad that you asked it, because all of these efforts that we are doing, right, are really to strengthen the next generation.
Yes.
No? All of this work that Bruhat is also doing, wonderful, wonderful work, and I'm so grateful for all the work that they've put in. This is really a movement. That's what I call it. A movement to strengthen the next dharmic generation. So the way we are involving the next generation is we have a lot of youth groups here, You have Hindu students groups. You have your Chinmaya groups, etc. So we have a lot of, and a lot of groups that are here, that are mobilizing youth. We are, we do all the Parayan of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and everything through these. We also do a lot of Bharatnatyam groups, and we have all of that. But now we need to bring a more a more sort of concerted effort to civic engagement. We need our,
Yes.
I'll tell you, my personal vision is that we need our kids to become human rights lawyers for Madhyamik lens. We need them to become bureaucrats, diplomats. We need them to take up these roles. We need to tell our kids that political engagement, politics is not a bad word,
Hmm.
because everything in life that we do is
Hmm.
tied to politics, right from my taxes to
Hmm.
my visa to to the college that I'll go to. Everything is politics. Fiscal policies are politics. Everything is politics. So staying away from it and calling it like, oh, I don't want to be in politics,
Hmm.
it doesn't serve our purpose.
Hmm.
Never, it will never serve our purpose. And when we are seeing it in action, it hasn't served our purpose. You can see what's happening in various democracies around the world, so-called democracies. It's a direct fallout of political power.
Yes.
You can see what's
And
happening in
parents should
Bangladesh.
encourage, from what you're saying, parents should encourage children to do law and law they do, I suppose, engineering and med. So what I'm trying to say is parents in the US should encourage children to do humanities and get into other fields rather than just stick to, these two or three professions, which they think is what an Indian should study or, excel in more than just the pure sciences. How will they get to be a bureaucrat or how will they get to be a politician if they're forced to just be in just science field or just certain elite fields?
Absolutely, yes. We must encourage, these are important fields for us, and the way we are engaging is that we are going to speak to all of these. We are continuously speaking to youth groups to get them involved, because our youth, once they turn 18, they start voting here, right? So they are very young. They're just coming out of school, like 12th grade, and they become. My daughter is going to be voting for the first time in this election.
Congratulations, yes.
Yes,
So
I'm
yeah, so
excited.
you're there to guide her, so we don't have to worry about her. So
Yes, and I'll tell you, Kavita ji, the thing about the youth today is that the youth is very informed.
yes,
They're very informed. They're very, they're very
also
engaged.
misinformed, informed and misinformed because
Yeah, yes, sometimes misinformed and sometimes informed. It's our sort of job as parents to give them perspective.
hmm,
Give them perspective, because sometimes they're not getting the full perspective. They're only getting
correct,
half a perspective, right?
correct.
They're getting a wrong perspective of it. So it's our job, and we are talking to a lot of youth groups, because the youth is so clued on to technology. That's why we thought that we have to present information through technology,
Yes,
not chai pe charcha, because that's not what they like. They like an app, they like a website. So our
yes,
next, so we are going to enable this through apps. We are going to make sure that it's easily accessible to our youth. We're going to encourage. That's why we are encouraging all our bal vihar and bal vikases to bring this project to them. And
lovely. So
through
that's
your
a great
medium, I
way.
hope, through your medium, I hope we can do that.
Definitely whatever Brihat can do for this cause. And when you say Balavihars and Bharatnatyam groups and all the cultural groups that are existing over there, so that's a good way to engage the young and the youth, because that's where they all are right now before they go into universities. So that's an excellent way. And at some point, all of us have to come together. All these communities have to come together. At some point, everybody has to hold hands. There is no shying away from it anymore. I mean, I think the honeymoon period of just sitting happy in your big 4 bedroom and 3 garage or 4 garage house with a swimming pool have long passed. You can still do that, but you have to engage yourself because that won't last long. So that happiness is just yeah. It's probably temporary. So to make it permanent, or to give a stable future to the children, I think Indian Americans have to definitely come out, and for the starters to get into Hindu Vote, the website, and have a clear picture and view of what is it that we are facing and how can we confront it with a proper, enlightened and informed vote. Before I let you go, very quickly, what has been your journey so far, Deepaji? How did you enter into this very quickly? And if somebody wants to join hands with you, how can they do that? Or if they want to get into this field, like youngsters, some of them who watch might say, okay, I understand what Deepaji is saying. I want to get involved. um, maybe not just with Hindu Pact, what would you advise them?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. Uh, Kavita ji, let me just begin by saying that first of all, I had to give a disclaimer right at the beginning of the recording, but I did not. I am an elected official in my town, so everything that
Okay.
I've said here so far has been my personal view and not the view of the South Brunswick Board of Education, of which I am a part. I apologize, I missed providing that disclaimer earlier. So I have always been, Kavita ji, involved in volunteer work for a long time, and I've always been interested in dharmic causes. I've been in this country nearly 2 decades, and I've always, the dharmic matrabhumi is Bharat. So I draw a lot of energy from our, from the teachings of our culture. I am a student of, of our scriptures. I attend various classes. I'm part of the Chinmaya study group, etc. So, I have been with Chinmaya. My family has been with Chinmaya for a long time. So we have. I've always had, very dharmic moorings in my home as well, and I naturally gravitated towards this cause. So I was looking for volunteer opportunities, and I have volunteered with various organizations for various things, because organizations like Hindu Pact and other political advocacy organizations are really strapped for resources and volunteers. So if anybody wants to get involved, the easiest way to do that is, please reach out to them through their website, and I'm sure they'll reach out to you immediately, because
Yes.
instantly, yes, it's probably faster than Swiggy or something like that. I don't know.
Wonderful.
Yes, so
Wonderful.
yeah, so that's one thing. And the second thing is, my journey so far has been very fruitful. I have met through my journey, a lot of people say Hindus are not united and all of these things, but my experience has been that Hindus are becoming more and more united. I'm
Wonderful.
very optimistic for our community. I think we are bringing out our message in a more clearer fashion. We have got more dharmic leaders coming
Hmm.
out and speaking very, very authentically, very clearly.
Hmm.
We are mobilizing ourselves like we have never done before. I come from a generation where there was a time I did not even know that there was a Hindu genocide in Kashmir. you know so I feel like now we have come to a point where we are getting mobilized in a more organized way. And I am very optimistic for our future. I have met wonderful Sanatani brothers and sisters like yourself, who have encouraged me without any sort of expectation, have helped the causes, and we are all in this together. So although we have, like brothers and sisters, we may have little disagreements here and there, but ultimately we are one family.
So wonderful. So Vasudeva Kutumbakam for the Hindus, and we have to get together. Even though we may feel it in the heart, you're saying that we have to do it physically now. We have to come out and hold hands
Yes.
and be more politically aware, which is very essential, whether in India or in the US. And like I said, for viewers who are watching this, you don't have to be a voter in the US. You can still go to Hindu vote dot is it com or dot
It's .org.
.org. So hinduvote.org. And it's a beautifully done up website with a lot of information. And we'll understand the gamut of what is happening, the issues that Hindus are facing. And it'll give us a better idea of, how to go about getting what we want, whether with the West, in the US, or even in India. It's a great path that you've shown us through this website. And I hope people make use of it. And all the best to you. And is there anything else you want to add before we sign out for today?
Yes, I just want to, express to your viewers and my Sanatani community, and to, to the world community at large, whoever's watching this program, to say that, dharma is something that sustains us for eternity. And to vote with a dharmic lens is the only responsibility we have, and it is the prime responsibility. In order to make sure that the information is presented in a manner that's easy for us to sort of absorb in our busy lives, we have come up with hinduvote.org. Though I am the face here, Kavita ji, and I'm speaking to you, behind me there is an army of Sanatani brothers and sisters
I'm
who are
sure.
helping sort of send this message out. And I am so grateful, personally grateful, to all of you who have sort of helped me me personally, to get this message out, I'm over the years, this is an extremely long term project. As long as Hindus will continue to vote in United States, Hindu vote will be alive.
Wonderful. And since you said that, and I said I will sign off, but now I have another quick question. When we say dharmika lens, is it us as voters, we need to have a dharmika lens, of course, but is it also the candidates we're looking at to see if they have the dharmika lens? And if they're not Sanatani, they may or may not have the dharmika lens. And do both have to have the dharmika lens? So that's a quick explanation if you can give for that.
So that's a, see, basically, our the dharmic values are universal values.
Hmm.
It's not like if somebody else is following a different belief system, it's it should not be antithetical to my dharmic values, right? We want through this website, through this tool, through hinduvote.org, we want a couple of things. We want engagement at an individual level by individual who are voting, and even who are not voting. Even if you don't vote, you still have a voice, right? We want our organizations, our mandirs, our institutions, our bal vihar, bal vikases, all the, so all these various language classes, our programs, cultural engines, that are to be involved in this movement. And the last thing I want to say is that whether a person follows the Sanatani culture or not, their actions speak whether they are dharmic or not. And we are floating this information easily to be available, so that we are creating more aware democracies. We are not we are not now at a place where we say हमको मालूम नहीं था, like
No
किसके लिए.
longer.
No
Yes.
longer that is no longer our excuse anymore. That is no longer a reason anymore. That is, now we are empowering you. So that's why our tagline is an enlightened democracy, an empowered democracy. And we are requesting our Hindu brothers and sisters to embrace their power as a Hindu voter.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deepa ji, for your time. And we wish you all the very best with all your endeavors. We wish Hindu Pact, Hindu Vote. And we hope that the audience has found some meaningful takeaways from our conversation. I certainly did. Namaste and Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.